welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Kyla, and I feel like the only way to start this video appropriately is that sound bit from TikTok where it's like, oops, I did it again. Because, yeah, it happened again. I read 17 books this month. What to tell you guys, okay? I said last month that if I were to do this again, you really had to like hold me accountable and kind of make me slow down. I feel like I read at a slower pace this month, but I still managed to read 17 books. So I don't know. I'm laid off at the moment. Maybe that has something to do with it, but I also don't feel like I'm reading like more throughout the day because I'm doing videos and I'm doing other things. So it's not like I'm just like sitting down and reading. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you other than it happened again, and like I had a great reading month. I don't feel guilty about it. And we're going to talk about them all today very quickly because I don't want to sit on the floor for that long and you don't want to be here for that long. But I thought it would be fun to start off this video with like a little bit of some stats for you because I normally don't do this, but I figured with 17 books, like we need to talk about it. So 10 of those were physical books or listened with the audio. So like I read them physically, but I was also listening to the audio. Mixed bag there, but 10 of them were physical reads, 7 of them were audiobooks, so that's a good chunk. That's almost half of just being audiobooks. 6 of them were by Black authors, which is something that I really wanted to focus on this month, especially being Black History Month in February. So 6 of them were by Black authors, and 7 of them were library checkouts, or like, I mean, audio, I use Libby, but physical books, 7 of them were library checkouts, which like, I love that for me. I love that for me. Using the library has definitely saved me so much money, and I'm very grateful for it. One of these days, I will add up how much money the libraries actually saved me, but I bet it's a lot. So, okay, let's get into it. I'm going to go over these in star fashion. So we're going to start off low, work our way up, and let's just go ahead and dive in. So we're going to start with my one and only DNF this month. And you know what? That's really good. Out of 17 books, there was only one DNF, and it was actually really sad. I was very disappointed because it was one of my most anticipated books for this quarter, and it was Things We Do to Our Friends by Heather Darwent. This sounded like it was going to be so up my alley. We had Edinburgh dark academia vibes, mystery going on, weirdness, and I thought this was going to be like home run, that's basketball. Home run, slam dunk. I thought it was going to be all the things that I wanted to be. Unfortunately, it was not. This is her debut, and I do think that the writing was a little bit fluffy for my taste. It definitely was like over the top descriptive in my opinion, but that's not why I DNF'd it. I can look past that. If I'm enjoying a plot, I'm enjoying the characters, but unfortunately those things kind of went out the window for me. I didn't really enjoy this plot very much. I felt like this book was trying to be bunny with like having this weird kind of friend group that our main character like gets in with, and then some weird shit starts happening. It almost becomes like what happened in Bunny, which I'm not going to give it away because in case you haven't read that book, and also I don't want to spoil this one for you, but it was very much giving Bunny vibes, but like nothing can compare to Bunny, and I was like, okay, put that out of your mind. Like, don't try to compare the two. They're two separate books. Let's just see where this goes. But like, I did not like or care for any of the characters, and I wasn't really engaged in like the mystery going on. I made a really good dent in this. I want to say I DNF'd this at like halfway through maybe, and I was just kind of over it and was like, I don't care enough about anything that's going on in this book, and I could kind of tell where it was going, and I was like, this payoff for me is not going to be worth it. It's not going to be worth it, so it's a DNF from me. I luckily did not have any 1-star books, so let's just go ahead and dive into the 2 stars. And I only have one at a 2.5, so like we're kind of cheating here, but like not really. It still falls within this category. And that was House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. This was one of the ones that I read for Black History Month, and I wanted to include it. It's also included in my Gothic vlog, so if you haven't seen that video, I will link it in the cards as well as below, as well as any and other reading vlogs that associate with any of the books in this video. But I chose this one on a whim. You know what? Vampire shit and kind of this whole like Gothic genre, I wasn't really sure if it was for me. I was like, you know what? I've heard such good things about this. The cover is absolutely stunning. So like, let's give it a whirl. And unfortunately, this just like was not for me. This book is not bad. Do not let this review deter you from reading it, especially if you love vampires or the Gothic genre. This book screams that. It was the most in that vlog that had the most Gothic vibes. It just was not for me. I wasn't really invested in the story. The writing was really good. I really enjoyed that. But overall, I think this was definitely like a me problem. It's not really the story that I was looking for. The mystery didn't really engage me that much. And I was just kind of left at the end like, okay, that was fun, but like I didn't really get anything out of it. Again, this is 100% a me problem. I've decided that like this whole, it's not necessarily about vampires, it's more so about blood maids, but along the same lines. I think that kind of subgenre is just not for me, and I need to steer clear of kind of vampire-esque stories. So Again, do not let this deter you from reading it. So many people love this book. This was 100% on me. So now let's move into the 3 stars. I had 4 3 stars this month, and one of them was also included in that Gothic vlog, and it's Catherine House by Elisabeth Thomas. Again, one that I read for Black History Month, and this one was so weird and twisted, and like I still do not know if I loved or hated this book, which is why it got 3 stars. It's a dark academia Gothic book, and it's about a school and some weird shit happens, and it's just it's fascinating, and I thought it was going to go one way, and I guess it kind of did. Like, I don't know. Like, what is it? Sci-fi? Is it not? Is it dark academia? Is it a little bit fantasy? Is it Gothic? It's all the things, and again, I just do not know still if I loved it or hated it. So I had to give it 3 stars because like it lands in the middle. I still think about it. It was weird. It was twisted. What? It's another one of those books that's kind of like gives Bunny vibes. So like if you enjoyed Bunny and you like the weirdness, not necessarily what happens in Bunny, but you like the weirdness of Bunny, I think that you would probably enjoy this, but like I do not know. So I'm not gonna say like wildly recommend this one. I don't know. So we're gonna move on. The next one is one that I listened to on audio, and it was The Honeys by Ryan LaSala. This one is kind of a camp horror story, and I really enjoyed my time with this on audio. It wasn't the most groundbreaking story. It didn't have the craziest plot twist. I did enjoy the ending, and what I really enjoyed about this book was the audiobook. I would hands down, like, absolutely recommend the audiobook for this because there are sound effects. Bees. That's all I'm gonna say. Just know that bees. But this one I love also because it has so much good representation in it. We have a gender fluid character. We have a lot of LGBTQ plus themes throughout it, and like, I'm here for it. You guys know it. Anytime I see it, I love it. And like I said, this was just kind of like a fun horror book. It's not one that's I'm going to like super remember or going to stay on my mind for a bit, but I really enjoyed my time and I would highly recommend the audio. And then we have another weird one. This one is Nana by Brandon Massey. This was the book troop pick for February. Also, he is a Black author, so we'd love to see it. I have to give this one 3 stars, but like, it is one that's gonna stay on my mind for a while. And I don't know what to say about this book other than it is fucked up. It is so weird. Please look up trigger warnings beforehand. There were so many moments in this book. I listened to it on audio, highly recommend. I'm sure the physical one is good too, or you're reading in tandem, but I listened to the audio, really enjoyed it. Short ass chapters, love it. Yes, please. But like, this was one where I literally was left going, what the fuck? What did I just read? What just happened? And like, I enjoyed it. My jaw was on the floor for a lot of this book. So many moments where I was like, step away, but like, I can't look away. And it was so good, bad, disturbing, all of the above. Would I recommend it? Yes, if you like weird and disturbing horror books, absolutely. This one is about a woman who meets the mother that she never got to meet, basically, and she invites her home with them for the weekend, and whoa. Beyond weird shit happens. The only thing that like left me from giving this a higher than a 3 is the ending. I didn't enjoy the ending of this book whatsoever. It felt really flat for me. I know some people who loved it. When we were on the live show, they were talking about the reasons why they loved it, and I totally get it, warranted. For me, I was just kind of left like, what? That's it? That's how it ends? You're just gonna leave me there? And it was just way too fast. I felt like I could have used like another 50 pages. And I don't say that about horror books very often. I feel like there's a lot of time where like, this could have been a lot shorter. This one in particular, I could have used another at least 25 pages. Anyways, I mean, read it, but like, no, I warned you, okay? I warned you. But then also come talk to me about it afterwards. Because like, it deserves the discussion. And then the last 3-star for this month, I am so sad to say, and look, I actually even have the physical copy here. I know, I have so many pictures on the screen, you're like, what the heck, do you own any books? Like I said, I used the library a lot this month. Don't hate me. Don't hate me. Okay, this was 3 stars. I cannot give this book higher than 3 because for 300 pages, I was waiting for something to happen. And I know that in fantasy, it can be a little bit of world building at first. You know, you really need to like understand what's going on here. But like, we're in our world here, you know? We're at Yale. We're in New Haven, Connecticut. I have been there. I get the vibes, okay? You don't really have to give me that much of a description to really get into a story. There was a moment at like the 100-page mark, or a little bit after, that like intrigued me. But then we kind of got back into the flatness of it. This is a slow burn, and like slow with like spaces in between the letters, like S space L space O space W. Slow, like slow burn. If the entire book was like the last 150 pages, this would have been a 5-star read, but unfortunately it was not. So it gets 3 stars because the last 150 pages, chef's kiss, loved it. amazing. So much action, so much happened. I was invested. I needed to know what was going to happen. We are following Alex. She's at Yale, she's at New Haven, and she's trying to solve a mystery within secret societies. There's magic that happens. You get it, okay? I was invested in the mystery. I wanted to know. I wanted to solve that shit. There's a couple of different mysteries happening in this book, and like I was invested in all of them at that 300-page mark. Before that, just a whole lot of backstory explaining that I didn't need. So I am going to read the second one. I have it on my shelf, but like I'm gonna need a little bit of a break first because this was a slow burn. Thank God I listened to the audiobook along with reading. Otherwise, this would have taken me like 3 weeks to read. I can't. It was so slow. Alright, we are moving into the 4-star reads, which is the bulk of my rating this month. I had 8 4-star reads, so let's just go ahead and start with the first one, which is a 4.5 technically, but it was my first read of February, and it was Finlay Donovan Jumps the Gun. And I know, okay? I feel like I am in the minority here. I get it, but like I go into these books with no expectations whatsoever. I know that it's going to be ridiculous. I know it's going to be over the top. I know that I'm in for a good time. I know I need to like not take it too seriously and just enjoy the roller coaster that happens in these books, and that's what I did. I feel like because people loved the first one so much that they're just expecting to feel that way with all of them, and like warranted, okay, you want to love the sequels and the series as much as you love the first one, but like putting too much expectation on it, I feel like can kind of cloud the reading experience. So I like to take that away. Okay, objectively, is this like a 4.5 star? Probably not. Absolutely not. But did I enjoy my time? Yes. Did I enjoy it enough to give it 4.5 stars? Yes. Am I a little biased because if you watched my vlog of this, I talked about how this kind of gives me, there's a movie from the late 80s called Feds. It's about 2 women who go through the FBI Academy, the FBI Training Academy. It is so funny. It is hilarious. It is like one of those cheesy 80 movies. Like watching it back now, you'd be like, this is ridiculous. But I watched that movie so many times as a kid, and like I really wanted to be an FBI agent just like the women in that movie, and like this gives that vibe. So I might be a little biased in my opinion here, and I understand that, but like I just had so much fun. In this book, Finlay and Vero kind of get into this police training academy like visit. I don't even know why this would happen. I've never heard of this happening before, but it's like for people of the town, they can go and try to go through the it's the police academy training. I don't know. Whatever. They get themselves thrown in there, trying to figure some things out, but also just reading them like going through the police academy like shenanigans. It's just so funny to me. And okay, we can stop talking about it. I had a great time. I gave it 4.5 stars. I don't feel bad about that whatsoever, and I stand by my rating 100%. And then I read another in Tiffany D Jackson's backlist. This I listened to on audio, and it's Monday's Not Coming. I don't know what to say other than Tiffany D Jackson is absolutely brilliant. Brilliant in her writing, brilliant in the way that she brings such powerful, real life topics of conversation around people of color and BIPOC people. And oh my God, the themes woven throughout her books, I will say this time and time again, like they are incredible. Absolutely incredible. She's a genius in her writing. Like she deserves every single award. And I love, I've said this before, how she pulls in real life stories. Like she always takes something that's like happening in the world or has happened in the world, like a news article or a story that's floating around or a true crime thing, and pulls it into her story and uses that as inspiration. And this one was so good. This one is about a Black girl who goes missing and no one is really looking for her except for her best friend. Her best friend is like, I have not seen her in forever. She has a little bit of like a sketchy home situation where like CPS has been called before and that kind of thing. And why is no one looking for her? Why is no one looking for her? And she goes on and like sets out on this mission to try to find her best friend Monday. And oh my god, the ending of this book is absolutely heartbreaking and so real and raw, and it's just incredible. So if you have not read from Tiffany D. Jackson before, highly recommend. Pick one. I can't just give you one recommendation. They're all incredible. They all have been 4 stars and above. I absolutely love her writing, love her storytelling, love her endings. They're always so good. And just, yes, look up trigger warnings for each of her books because she does include a lot of real and raw things, but read them all. Read them all. Okay, and then I read a fan favorite, well, I listened to it on audio, and that is The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. I know, crazy enough, I had not read this book. I don't know where I've been. Under a rock, apparently. This book, 4 stars, brings my biggest fear, or one of my biggest fears in life, to the surface, and I was so uncomfortable while reading this, which I think is obviously the point. But yeah, home invasion, that's like some shit that like scares the ever-loving bejesus out of me, okay? I don't know what to say. I am terrified of home invasion. So this book covers that at an extreme, and in like such a different way. We have kind of like an apocalyptic thing happening here. It was just so creepy and disturbing, so uncomfortable. The ending, I love an ambiguous ending, so good. It just like wasn't absolutely perfect. There were some parts in there where I was like, oh, can we move it along a little bit? And that just could be like my fear coming through. I was like, I'm ready for this to be over. I'm not sure, but yeah, deeply disturbing. Will I watch the movie? I do not know. I'm not a horror movie stan. I'm terrified, so probably not. And speaking of another backlist, the next one is These Fleeting Shadows by Kate Alice Marshall. I read this in tandem, so I listened to the audiobook and read physically. The audiobook is so creepy. Highly recommend. There are some voices in there that like just chill you to your bone. And this one, I really liked it. I know that some people didn't really like the direction that this one took, or they found it a little bit confusing. There were some parts in there I was like, wait, what is going on? What? But overall, like, I had such a fun time with this, and I love when horror, this is a young adult horror, when it, like, really creeps you to your bones and also, like, actually includes ghosts and shit. Like, I'm here for it. When there's not necessarily, like, a human explanation for things. This one kind of covered it all, and I was really happy about this one. This is like an inheritance story, so our main character inherits this house that she has spent some time in when she was younger, and then had to be taken away, and she was raised by her mother in like a total different town with her stepfather to get her away from this house. And then when the grandfather passes away, he leaves the house to her, and the stipulation is that she has to survive this house for a year before she can claim the inheritance and whatever. And we have all of these family members involved that are pissed that she has inherited this house and that it's on her. But then there's also this element of mystery of like, why was she taken away from this house when she was is younger, what's the deal there, and what's going on at this house where, like, the stipulation is that she has to survive the house, like, what is going on? And like I said, it's so creepy, so disturbing. Young adult horror, I will say it time and again, just slaps. It slaps so hard. Chaos Marshall knows how to do young adult horror, which is why I'm so excited to read her new adult thriller, because I just think that it's probably going to be so good. But yeah, loved it, 4 stars. We had to switch things up a little bit because my camera was dying. So we have a new angle. You know what? Just keeping you on your toes, okay? All right, so let's talk about the next 4-star book, which was The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. This was another weird one. I mean, any book that includes a talking cat, I'm gonna show up for it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm here for it. So this is a horror book where you kind of do not know what is happening in this book. We have our main character, who's a bit of a drunk, lazy, confusing character. We have a little girl who, like, doesn't leave the house, and then we have a talking cat who reads the Bible. And honestly, that's all I'm going to say, because any more than that kind of gives this book away. And I had so many predictions of what was actually going on in this book. I kept texting my friend Teresa because she read this before me and was like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. Okay, no, this is what I'm thinking. Nope, this is what I'm thinking. Literally every time. And then around 60% of the way through this book, I was like, oh, I think I have it figured out now. And let me just say, I can't say anything without spoiling it or giving away, but all I will say is that there is incredible representation in this book, and the conversation that's had around this specific representation, I love to see it. You don't see it very often in books, and done as well as it is in this book, but once it's like revealed to you, it all clicks into place, and it's so smart. It's so smart, but also really impactful, and for being a horror and also being like fun and just kind of disturbing and like you don't know what's going on, like you literally feel like you've taken drugs and you're like, what is going on? This book was done so well and is so enjoyable and brings such an important conversation and representation to light, and I am just like, I'm so happy this book exists. And I'm so happy it was done in such, like, this is gonna sound strange, but like, I'm so happy it was done in such a weird way that it's like appeals to people and people can read more about what's going on and kind of had a better grasp on it, if that makes sense. I don't know. So good. I highly recommend it. It's so strange, but if you stick through it and once it like starts clicking into place, like your mind will be blown. The reason this book isn't 5 stars is I did feel like the ending was a little bit drawn out. I was kind of, once I figured it out, was kind of ready for it to be over, and there was still like, you know, another 100 pages left. So I do feel like the ending was a little bit slow, but overall, like, would still highly recommend it. And then we have the next in the Grady Hendrix backlist. I read Horrorstor, or I listened to it on audio. This is a super quick audiobook. It's only like 4 hours long, so if you're looking for a really fast, enjoyable audiobook, this one, definitely recommend it. It's Grady Hendrix. I mean, come on, y'all. Like, I cannot. He's the king of horror, and I love it, and I will never be able to shop at a certain store that's not named IKEA ever again without thinking of this book. This book takes place in like a huge store that is like IKEA, okay? It's not the same. It's not, okay? It's not. But what I love about this one, like the physical book, I need to get my hands on it because it's so funny. It looks like a coffee table book or a product catalog. And the way it reads, it sounds like in the audiobook, it sound like in between the chapters, we get these things that kind of sound like commercials for what they sell. And it's just so fun. I love audiobooks that have like an extra element to them. And this one, so good. But also this was like a fun mystery. Like I said, I will never be able to like shop at the store the same way ever again. And also like brought to life one of my favorite things in movies and books is like when someone gets either locked in a store overnight or like they choose to like live in a store. I love that. I think it's so fun and so interesting. You know how people do it in like Walmart and that kind of thing because it has everything. You could literally live there. Same thing with this, and I love that trope, so I was so happy, and I just had a great time. And then we have my first middle grade that I've read in a long time. I listened to the first in the Nevermoor series, so the Trials of Morgan Crow, and I thought this was so fun. I read this in physical form and also listened to it on audio, and I would highly recommend the audiobook actually. The physical book was great, don't get me wrong. I think either or is fine, but I love the audiobook so much because there are different voices for each of the characters. It's just so whimsical is what it is. The audiobook brings the whimsy to life, and that's really what you want in a story like this. It's one thing to like have these voices kind of in your head or you think you have a voice for a character, but then to hear it on the audiobook, there's a cat in here and like the voice that is for the cat is like absolutely perfect. It's oh my god, it's perfection. I don't even want to like describe it because I don't want to ruin it for you. And yes, it's a middle grade, okay? And I'm a full-fledged adult in her 30s. I still enjoyed this, okay? And yes, of course, this is a middle grade, okay? So it's going to feel young, but to me, it wasn't the character that made this book feel young. It was the whimsical and the whimsy of it all that made it feel younger, but like not in a bad way, in a really enjoyable way. I didn't feel at any point that I was like, man, I'm way too old to be reading this. Like, I just had a great time. I thought it was really fun. I am going to continue the rest of the series. I just think it's so incredible, so fun. If you're a fan of Alice in Wonderland, if you're a fan of a certain wizarding world, you will love this series. And then my last 4-star book was actually a 4.5, and this was Daphne by Josh Malerman. Borderline could be a 5, okay? Borderline. The reason why I knocked off half a star, and like, I don't know, is this deserving of it? I'm not sure. There are no fucking chapters in this book. None. Zip, zilch, zero. It is one run-on story from the beginning to the end. 250 pages of just straight story. No break. Nothing. Just goes. Just goes. There are some page breaks. Like, you get 3 little dots as a page break, but like, there's no chapters. None. That's a bit much for me. Okay, but besides that, this book is flawless. The writing is incredible. The way that Josh Malerman talks about anxiety in this book is something that I will never forget. The metaphor for anxiety and just the descriptions for anxiety and depression in this book are like some of the best that I have ever read, and I just want more people to read this book, especially if you suffer with anxiety, because I feel like this becomes the most relatable, not the most relatable story because it's horror, right? So it's about this kind of small town legendary ghost story that kind of comes to life in the present day. But the themes of anxiety and depression woven into this ghost story are like impeccably done. Impeccable. I want to know how this man got this out. Like, so good. so good. This book made me feel so anxious while I was reading it. Like, I could feel my own anxiety bubbling up while I was reading it, but then having someone describe it in such a smart way was just such an interesting and unique experience. If you do not suffer with anxiety or depression, I don't think this book will hit as hard, but if you do, please read this book. Like I said, if you can get over the chapter thing, it's only 250 pages long. This is a very smart book. It is impactful. It is horrific in its story, but also in its descriptions. And what's happening throughout this book is also horrific, but like in such a unique and interesting way. And this book is going to stay with me for so long. And lastly, we come to the 5 stars, the books that I cannot get out of my head, that I want to reread immediately, that I was so sad and devastated that they were over. I have 3 of them to share with you. The first one was included in my Gothic vlog, and I don't think this will be a surprise if you watch this video because I gushed about it for probably half of the video, and that is Belladonna by Adalyn Grace. Oh my goodness, where do I even begin? This book, I was not expecting it. I'm not gonna lie, I was not expecting it. This I picked up at Barnes & Noble on a complete whim. I was like, okay, gives Gothic vibes. Fantasy, Gothic fantasy, that sounds fun. I'm here for it. What I was not expecting was to get Gothic fantasy with also like thriller and horror and be so creepy at the same time. We have a mystery happening in this book. We have ghosts in this book. We have poisoning that is happening in this book. And we also have death as a main character in this book. And it is so perfectly done. You would think that all of those things put together could be kind of a mess or be kind of overwhelming, but this book executes it flawlessly. And I said in that video, and I stand by it, if you are a fan of Addie LaRue in the sense of having the devil be so present and attached to our character, you will love this book. You will love it. If you like, mystery thrillers, if you like ghost stories, and you also like Addie LaRue, this book is for you, I'm telling you. It is young adult, but oh my goodness, it does not read that young at all. And I just am obsessed with it. It was so good, so unexpected, so surprising, and like in the best way possible. And I'm devastated that I have to wait until August for the next one. Are you kidding me? It's just not okay. It's just not okay. And these next 2, I don't think are a surprise to anyone if you follow me on Instagram, if you've seen my most recent vlog. I mean, for them both to be 5 stars, yeah, that happened. That happened, and I wasn't expecting it, not in the slightest. I was hoping to love the first one. I was not expecting to love the second one just as much. I read them back to back, which could have been a mistake, because honestly, I have the biggest book hangover. Like, I just keep wanting to go back to these and reread them. Nothing seems to like be coming up to par since. I don't even know what to say. I'm gonna put this one down because I don't need to hold both of them up, but perfection. Absolute perfection. There is nothing wrong with these books. Like, nothing in the slightest. You needed every bit of the story. These are long, yes, but like you needed every inch, every description. You needed it all. You needed it all. There was not a single thing that I was like, oh, I'm a little bored. Oh, this could have gone a little bit faster. Like, I was engulfed in the story from the very beginning. In these books, we are following Bree, and Bree has recently lost her mother. And let me just say, the conversations around grief in these books are so impactful and so powerful. If you have recently lost someone, I think these would be very healing, but they also might be extremely painful. So just know that that is very present in these books as a warning. But we are following Bree. She goes after her mother passes away and trying to like deal with it all, goes to an early college program. And on one of her first nights there, she witnesses a magical attack. And she's like, hell, excuse me, what? Magic? What is going on here? And quickly kind of gets thrown into this world, and she infiltrates this group because she realizes that there may be more to her mother's death than she really knew about. She keeps having these flashback memories around her mother's death and what happened, and some things kind of come to light. So she infiltrates this group and is like, I'm gonna figure out what happened to my mother. But while she's in this group and going through kind of the society and the training, some other attacks start happening, and she takes it upon herself to also help while she's there. And it's just so good. That is like a very minute description. These books have extremely heavy King Arthur themes throughout them. Like, it's King Arthur retelling of sorts, but the themes of it are very present, and I wasn't sure if that was going to be for me because I don't really know a whole ton about King Arthur. Like, I just know like Knights of the Round Table and like random shit like that. Like, I don't know the inner details of that. This book does a very good job. Just know I'm talking about both of them here, but they do an extremely good job of explaining everything in detail where it's very easy to follow along. Yes, there were some points where I was like, I'm sure this is going over my head. I'm sure that there are things that like I'm not really grasping or understanding, but that didn't take away from my enjoyment or my experience with these books, and I just had the most fun time. There's also, you know, some romance happening, okay? We love to see it. And there's also incredible representation in this book. Not only do we have BIPOC characters, we also have a lot of LGBTQ plus characters, and there is just so much representation packed into these in so many different ways. I'm obsessed with it. So well done, so well executed. Totally warrants a reread at some point. I am so sad that it's over. I cannot believe that I don't even know when a third one is coming, that we don't even know when a third one is coming. If a third one is coming, I'm assuming, because the end of this one left me with like so many questions. My jaw was on the floor and I was heartbroken. So there has to be a third one, and if there's not, I'm gonna rage. No, I'm just kidding. I'm pretty sure there is. Do we know when it's coming? No. I really hope that I do not have to wait, that we do not have to wait another 2 years for it, because there were 2 years in between these two, and I hope that that is not the case. So I think it goes without saying that I highly recommend them. They are young adult. Put that out of your mind. They are so incredible. I cannot recommend them enough, and I need more people I know to read them. So this is my plea to you. Somebody please pick these up soon so we can talk about them. I need more friends to talk about these books with. And that is it. We have done it. We have covered the 17 books that I read this month. I hope you enjoyed. I know I didn't go over synopsises too much, but I will list all of the books below in the description in case you want to go out and look them up on their own. I kind of just gave you my thoughts and feelings because otherwise we would be here for way too long. So I hope that's okay with you. I will list them below in case you want to go do your own research. But I mean, overall, a great reading month, and I cannot wait to see what happens next month. Will we do it again? I do not know, but like, it's entirely possible. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe if you are not already. Turn on the bell so you never miss a video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!
With you and I, the future